I finally caught our oldest son Harrington carrying some logs that we use to make candlesticks. He doesn't like to be filmed or have his picture taken, so he always makes loud noises and funny faces.
A lot of times people will see stuff coming through the paint and they think it's a paint problem, and really it's just what's underneath. Dining tables are the worst. So the grease and a lot of things just don't come off. So I'm just going to spray it with shellac. I usually do like 2 or 3 coats, and then I paint right over the top and you can't see any of the bleed through. This is a solid oak top, so because it's a solid oak top, I can take it down pretty fast with 60 grit sandpaper, moving very quickly as to not gouge the wood. The way you can tell it's a solid wood top is it doesn't have a repeating pattern. You'll notice that the grain is differing in each area and non-repetitive, so it's solid wood and I won't have to worry. After I'm done taking it down with 60 grit, then I'm going to move up to, usually I do like 80, 100, and then 220, and that gives me a nice smooth top ready to stain.
I'm going to be building a table, and I just wanted to show you how I pick out lumber. So when I'm down at the store, first thing I'm going to check, is there a warp in the wood this way? So I want to make sure that these are nice and straight. I'm going to join those anyway and trim them on the table saw so that they're nice and square, but the straighter your board is, the less you have to fight it starting out. I'm also going to check and see if there's any arches here or here on both sides, and I check for chunk out. I get most of the wood I build with from either my dad or Home Depot, and they are stamping this. This is Douglas fir, and it has been kiln dried, heat treated. And that's nice because A, that kills any bugs that might be in the wood, and it also keeps the wood from shrinking or expanding. You want nice dry wood to work with. Now, it's not a cure-all. Just because it's kiln dried does not mean that the wood won't expand and contract with moisture that's naturally occurring in your air with humidity and things. So you still want to take care and prep your wood right, or you're going to get some splits and things like this split here. It's not very bad yet, but it could potentially be a weak point in the wood later down the road if you don't join it properly. Now, this wood has already been planed down from the lumber yard. That's the way it comes nowadays at Home Depot. What I like to check for, and this is a bad board, so I'm going to show you, it's nice and straight, but it's got this chunk here, and it's also got this knot, which is really going to weaken the point of this wood right here. And you can see it's already chunking out some. I'm going to be putting the biscuit joints in. They sell these down at Home Depot. These are just Ryobi wood biscuits that they make. This is the number 20 size. I like a little bit bigger size when I'm using this 1.5 inch thick material, because it's going to help hold it straight pretty well. And that's just to keep the boards level while I'm gluing them up. I honestly don't know if the biscuits add a ton of strength, but the glue up alone will add enough strength. The glue will hold those boards together really well once you let that set and dry. It takes about 24 hours for it to cure hard on most glues, and the biscuits are going to keep it from sliding and moving while that dries up. My depth is set to 3/4 of an inch, and this plate on the front has a line all down it. I'm just going to line that up with the mark that I made earlier and pull the trigger and push it in. There's what the cut looks like. When I'm ready to glue it up, I'll just put the biscuit in there and then run the glue down the surface of the side of the board there, and that'll help keep it from shifting. For a long time I used pocket holes to put my tops together, and I love pocket hole screws. They're great. They definitely have their purpose. But here in Utah, we have really cold, wet winters and dry, hot summers. And I found that I had a couple tables, the tops cracked on me last winter, and I had to do some warranty work, and I don't like doing warranty work, so I've gotten to gluing them all up like this, because it allows that wood to move when the humidity changes outside, because it's going to swell and expand and contract depending on what the temperature's like. And you don't want your wood cracking when you're building the tabletop. You want it to last a long time. It takes a lot of work to put them together like this. And even though this is Douglas fir is kind of in that medium range of hardness as far as wood goes. It's a real nice flexible wood, and it's great for building these tables. I really love using it to put these together. It's inexpensive. I can get a nice product out to the customer for a minimal amount of money compared to what a farmhouse table would cost at a big box store. And it's strong. These tables are gonna last a long, long time when you do them like this.
Very early in the morning, and I just went into our room and Zeb said, "Have you been working without filming?" And I have. So I told him I would come out here and film with my phone just to give you an idea what I did this morning. Sometimes I wake up and get a wild hair. This is a pretty light finish. I'd call it a driftwood finish. It has variations in it that are different colors and layers and textures, and the way this is achieved, and I've done this in a few videos, is I start with a very dark layer. Here was my first step. It's Jacobian 2750 by Minwax, and I just put that over the top and wipe the excess off. Here's the second step. This gray wash has multiple colors. It's mostly manatee, snowflake, and industrial, and it's a very light gray wash. I'll show you the inside. That's a very light gray wash that I mixed up. Sometimes I just mix a bunch of leftovers and it's a happy mistake. And that's kind of what this is. So no like real rhyme or reason. Now, after I put the Jacobian, which is very dark, which is hard to believe because of how light it is now, I do not wait for it to dry, which is totally against all the normal rules. I just apply my gray wash with a rag directly over and kind of mush the stain and paint into submission. And that's how you get the varying tones. I hate it when you see a table and it all looks the same. If you've done this technique successfully, it should look like old, weathered, aged wood. It's kind of hard because you have to sand down the tabletop to the natural wood, but I'm telling you right now, there's no stain out there that is gonna give you this color and grain variation. I've tried them all, unless you sand it all the way down to the raw wood, which is painful, but the results make it worth it. We're getting down to the bottom of the barrel here with our polyacrylic, so I'm just gonna go ahead and dip right in here. Normally I pour it into something else. The key to polyacrylic is nice, thin, even coats, and once I get it on there, then I'll usually go across and brush one smooth coat. We brush all the tops of our tables because I feel like it gets a thicker amount on there, and it's self-leveling, and between that and the grain, you're not gonna see the strokes anyways. And then we buff it out too.
We used to spray them a lot, but it's almost faster to brush them because it lays down so much more material.
Well, and it was kind of streaky, and I just never felt like they had enough sheen, and you really want a good sheen on your tables.
Yeah, a lot less buffing.
Once I go across like a big whole section, like once I do this whole thing, then I come across and like kind of clean up my edges, so to speak. You don't want it dripping over there. You've got a decent amount of time to work with it, but once it's dry, you cannot mess with it or you will drag it. And this is probably not the proper way to slop it on, but I hate dipping my brush 8,000 times, and I'm pretty fast, so now I've got the whole top. So then I'm just going to go around the edges. Once I've got around the edges, then I'm just going to come across one more time and do what I call a feather finish. And it's just really light because you don't want to push the poly over the edge and create a lip. And make sure you're going with the grain of the wood, so that way if you do have any strokes, they're going to be less noticeable because they'll just dissolve right down into the grain. If this was a painted top, I would probably spray it because you'll get brush strokes, but the grains hide a lot of the brush strokes.
It is raining outside and about 50 degrees, so I'm kind of stuffed in the garage here with my table build that I'm doing, and I'm going to distress this and climb on under here and go to town on this table base with the 220 grit. I'm going in. I'm kind of digging this centerpiece here. You know, if you got someone on the other side you don't really want to talk to, you just kind of hunker down over your food. And it's like you don't even have to look them in the eye. You just eat and be done.
Is this for when you have those awkward conversations with people that are hard to do, but you just gotta do it?
You have those people you don't really love over for dinner. You're like, hey.
I love everybody that comes over here for dinner.
Oh.
It's for staging. I don't know why you didn't take it off for this, but it's here now, so we're
I love it. I think it's great. I just was pointing out its strong points.
It's fantastic.
The table turned out awesome.
Took us 2 videos to complete the table, but we got it done. I swear I can do a table if it's just me and the table, I can do it in a day. But it's been...
We had to shuffle it around a lot. We had some bad weather, and it is definitely time to clean the garage out so that we can get a spray booth set up.
Are you trying to say I'm a mess?
No, it's just time.
Okay.
It had nothing to do with you.
Yeah. Like some people dream of like big diamond rings, but I dream of giant garages.
I could go for a giant garage.
You have your garage, and then I'll have my garage, and then we'll have a garage that we share.
Yep.
And who cares about the house?
And maybe we might park some cars in there sometimes. Who knows?
That's overrated. All right, back to the video. Anyways,
let's tell them what we did.
What did we do? Okay, so the base is painted snowflake with a heavy distress, and then the top, Zeb, hopefully you're using my footage from my phone?
Yeah, I'll use that footage.
Okay, so the top is Jacobian with a gray wash over the top, and then we sealed it with polyacrylic. It kind of has like a driftwoody finish. One of the things I want to tell you is sometimes when you do the technique that I did where you don't let the stain dry all the way, the stain, especially on oak because it's porous, it'll seep up through and you get a little bit of a spotted effect, and if that bothers you, then you need to make sure that your bottom stain is all the way dry before you gray wash. I like the effect, so I let it go.
I like it. It gives it kind of more of a deeper tone, deeper range of tone. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And you already saw us do these chairs. We did a whole video on them.
Yeah. So, guess that's it. Stay tuned for all the glamour shots of the set. Be sure to go to Jamie Ray Vintage. Subscribe to Jamie Ray for What are we doing? Subscribe to Jamie Ray for more DIY and give us a...
Not just Jamie Ray. Subscribe to Jamie Ray Vintage.
Oh, Jamie Ray Vintage. So I'm Jamie Ray and you're Vintage?
Yeah, I am getting old. Every day.
Give us a thumbs up.
Hammer thumb for the win.
And subscribe to Jamie Ray Vintage for more DIY.
Alright, we'll not put that in.
You can, it might be cute. You don't know.